Today we are making a ton of grilled cheese to see which vegan cheese is the best, and I tested out 8 different cheeses and I tried to get either American or cheddar, and vegan cheese does get a bad rep, but it's honestly come a long way in just the 5 years that I've been vegan. So let's go ahead and grill up some sandwiches. And I'll just be using some standard white bread and some softened vegan butter. Make sure it's softened so you don't tear up your bread. And if it's cold, you can always microwave it for 5 seconds or so. And then to grill the sandwiches, I'm going to be using this smart griddle set to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I'm simply going to be adding 1 slice of cheese. I know 2 or more is usually the way to go, but I had to eat 8 of these sandwiches, so I was pacing myself. And then we're going to simply cover it to help melt the cheese and grill it on both sides for 5 minutes. And this way all the cheeses will be under the same test and we can see how they perform. Also, side note, 300 degrees for 5 minutes per side seems to be the perfect temp for a grilled cheese. I accidentally did this one at 330 degrees Fahrenheit and it was slightly more browned if that's what you prefer. Also, there are a few tricks to get your cheese to melt even faster, and I'll show you how to get a slate cheese pull, so stick around until after the taste test to see that. But first up is these cheddar slices by Simple Truth, which is the Kroger/Ralph's brand, and most of the cheeses I'm trying out today went for at least $5, but these are a couple bucks cheaper. So I went ahead and grilled it up, and as you'll see, some of these cheeses are more resilient to melting than others, but I'll go ahead and flip it and grill it for another 5 minutes. After that, we'll give it a slice into triangles, of course, and then we're going to peel it back, and we can see that it doesn't really give us much of a stretch, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and bite into it, and for the price, this was a decent cheese. Definitely got some good cheddar flavor, and the texture isn't super melty, but it's also not awful or unpleasant. And this, honestly, it's just okay to me, and I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. A good budget pick since it's cheaper, but we can do better. Next up is Vivan, which I found at Grocery Outlet, and this is on the more affordable side as well. So we're going to grill that up like we do, and I gotta say, if you can figure out how to get your pan to a stable 300 degrees Fahrenheit, that really is the perfect temp in my book. But we'll give that a slice, and maybe it's because these are cheddar and not American, but this one didn't give us much of a pull either. But that's alright. Despite that, I really dug these. They have a good creamy texture, a nice melt, and the cheddar flavor was nice and strong, but not overwhelming and didn't leave an aftertaste. So definitely a solid choice, especially as a budget cheese, and I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. Next up is Daya, and back when I went vegan, I cut my teeth on these when they were round and pretty much inedible. They have gotten better, but well, even though this was an American slice, as you can see, still not a lot of cheese pull, and once I bit into it, I immediately understood why so many people still seem to dislike this cheese. I wanted to like it, but the texture is just kind of goopy and not so pleasant, and there was a slight sweet aftertaste, which I really didn't care for. Daya has gotten better over the last 5 years, but I still think they have room for improvement, so I'm going to give this one a 1.5 out of 5. Next is the VO Life American slices, which I've never had before, but we're going to go ahead and grill that up as we do and slice it, give it a pull, and there's a bit of some cheese pull going on, but not a ton, and these were good. Not totally amazing, but a solid contender. The texture was a little goopy, and the flavor was actually pretty cheddar-like, so I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 5. Now let's do the chow cheese, and I actually really like this stuff unmelted, like in a vegan turkey sandwich. It's great, but melted in a grilled cheese, it's just not for me. Even though there's not much of a pull, the texture is super melty and perfect, but on its own taste-wise, it's got kind of a buttery sweet taste that I just don't enjoy in the context of a grilled cheese. If this were a deli-style sandwich, I'd give it a 5, but in a grilled cheese, it's only about a 2.5, I'm afraid. Alright, now let's do some Follow Your Heart American slices, and I haven't had these in a while, but I do remember liking them, and these do melt super well, and we finally have a decent cheese pull. I did try tearing these to see if they'd give us that classic cheese pull, but nope. And despite that, these are super dang good. The texture is nice and melty, the flavor is great too. It's subtle but not bland, so overall I give these a 4.5 out of 5. Okay, now for the 365 brand, which is from Whole Foods, and this is like $1 less than other cheeses, but unfortunately, I don't think the savings are worth it as we get the worst melt in the whole bunch. The texture was pretty goopy and the taste was pretty bland with a very slight hint of cheddar, so I'm gonna have to give this a 1 out of 5. Alright, last but not least is So Delicious American slices, which I found at Kroger/Ralph's, and I'll be totally upfront, these are my go-to slices. They just melt so well. In fact, I didn't have to cover this sandwich when I flipped it. The texture is just perfectly smooth and creamy. We get a pretty good cheese pull, of course, and the flavor is just really, really good. They're very similar to the Follow Your Heart slices, but just slightly better in the texture and the flavor, so I'm going to give these a 5 out of 5. So there you go, the So Delicious and Follow Your Heart are my top picks. Vivan is a great, especially for a more budget-friendly option. VO Life is okay, and the others I don't really recommend. Though, like I said, Chow is great cold on sandwiches. That being said, here's a few tips and tricks to help you melt your cheese. First, you can literally just put the cheese directly on the pan and move it around to melt it a bit. An even better way to do this is to first add some water to a hot pan and then your cheese, and the water and the steam are going to keep it from sticking, but you only want to do this for like 5 or 10 seconds and then quickly and confidently scoop it up with a spatula and let it land on your bread. Another trick you can do to improve the texture and get a slight cheese pull is to add a half cup of water to a pan along with a half teaspoon of sodium citrate, which is an emulsifier. Dissolve that and bring the water to a boil, and then add 8 ounces of shredded vegan cheese along with 1 tablespoon of tapioca starch. Melt that down and then pour it into a vessel like the silicone mold I've got. Freeze it and then let it thaw, and then grate it like so. Then make your grilled cheese as you do, and now the texture is even better, and honestly, this is my preferred way if I plan on making some grilled cheese, so give it a try and check out my other grilled cheese videos, and in the meantime, let me know in the comments what your favorite vegan cheese is, and until then, I'll see you all next time.